And this session will be available on the Troy U Career YouTube page at a later date. If any of your friends or classmates miss this session live, they may be in class or might have a part-time job, if they want to watch it at a later time. We've also got other recordings and a lot of helpful information on our YouTube page about best practices with resumes and interviewing. So that's a really good resource if you guys would like to check that out after we are off our session. But today we are really excited to have Mr. Scott Cruz with us. He is, as he just mentioned, a Troy alumni. So we are really excited to have him on with us, and that he wants to come back and really try to help all of our current students and graduates. That he has been working with the state of Alabama. He's going to tell you more about that, but he's willing to not only tell us about his career path in IT, but he's going to shed a little light on how state employment works. So he won't be able to answer every question about state personnel. We can guide you on that with the state agency at a later time, but he's going to speak to that. So it's really an honor for us to have him today. And we mentioned this earlier, but if all of you would just like to stay on mute during the presentation, then you're welcome to type any questions in the chat box, or ask a question by taking yourself off mute at the appropriate time. And I believe he'll be taking questions after he gives us kind of an overview at the beginning of the session. So Scott, we'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. So she said, as Lauren said, I'm really excited to have a chance to do this because as you guys and gals start your careers in the IT career field, you're going to find out that it's really tough to get a job straight out of college without experience. So I wanted to kind of share with you a little bit about, just a tad bit about me. It's not about me, it's about you today. And what your mother and father probably want. They want you to be able to get a job when you graduate and get your degree. I know mine did, and I've got a 23-year-old that I'm so glad he's got a job. So they're going to be grateful for that. So a little bit about myself. I went to Troy, started in 1986. I was a long timer, so I finished up in 93. Actually went through the ROTC program there as a cadet, and got my commission and went in the Air Force. So that's how I got my start, and then got into the IT career field in the Air Force. After that, after I got out of the Air Force, I decided to settle down in Alabama, here in Montgomery, and I actually got a job with the state. I was working with the State Department of Education at that time. Worked there for about 16 years, and then in 2016 I moved over to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board, and so it's been a neat trip, neat journey. So I've got about a year and a half left until I retire, and that's one of the things I want you guys to realize. Some people want to work all their life. I want to retire and go have fun. So I'm a fisherman by heart, and I love to go bass fishing. So that's what I want to do as my next career, if you will. So I just want to get through that. So anyway, when you talk about careers with the state, and this thing I hope is going to work for me. There we go. I want to go through and talk to you about state agencies, what those are, how to apply for a job with the state. Talk to you a little bit about the benefits, because state employment and the jobs of the state have tremendous benefits. And that's when you look at a job and you look at a salary, that salary may look good, but if the benefits are not great, you may not be looking at a full package that you would want going into employment. So benefits are very, very important. And then we're going to go in and talk about some of the different IT positions that the state of Alabama offers. And I hope that this is going to enlighten you into something that you're like, oh my gosh, I never realized that the state had those kind of jobs. Because when you graduate, you may not have to go to look at industry and go look at companies to actually get a job. The state of Alabama has a lot of IT positions, and we're looking for good folks. And that's what I'm doing here today, is to enlighten you so that you're aware of this, and hopefully we can get some of you good young folks on our teams. So we'll go through state agencies, how to apply benefits, and some types of IT positions. So let's get into that. You know, when I was growing up and I was learning about state government and federal government and so forth, a lot of this didn't, excuse me, really make sense. But what you see on your screen now is just a few of the state agencies around Alabama. And the way I like to look at it is, you know, you got to have an agency in the state to monitor different programs. For example, you travel up and down the highway every day in your vehicle. Guess what? There's a state agency called the Department of Transportation, and Department of Transportation is responsible for keeping our roads and highways and our road signs and all of that stuff up. And Department of Transportation has a huge IT department with programmers, network, security, all of those IT project managers. They've got all those types of positions. When you think about Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, think about us going out to our lakes and enjoying our lakes, enjoying all of our state-run, well, just lost what I was going to say, the state-run, um, uh, help me out, Lauren. I'm trying to think of this.
It's state parks.
Yeah, the state parks. That's right, the state parks. So Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, they're responsible for keeping those state parks up to par, taking care of your fishing license, hunting license, and so forth. You've got public health, Department of Corrections, and each of these state agencies have IT departments and a place for us to call home. And I want to introduce you to that. And these are just a few of the state agencies. These are not all of them. For example, with where I work here at the ABC board, we're responsible for putting out the spirits into the state stores around the state and monitoring that and overseeing that, so that we're not getting any I hate to say it like this, but bad spirits into Alabama. We're responsible for making sure that it's safe stuff that we're bringing into the state. And here we have to have an IT department. We have a warehouse that has about 40 employees in it that are loading and unloading every day thousands of cases of spirits. We've got an IT department here of about 28 folks. We've got programmers, we've got networking folks, we've got security folks, and we've got technicians that run our help desk. So we've got to support this organization. And that's what I wanted to make sure you guys understand, that when you talk about the different state agencies, there's a ton of these state agencies that have IT positions around the state. So when you get finished and graduate and get your degree and are looking, this is a place that you need to be looking for possible employment. So that's little bit about the organizations or state agencies within the state. I'm going to go on now to basically how to apply. And I'm going to go through this, but I'm going to come back and actually show you the website. But the website, as you got on your screen here, and Lauren, I'll share this slide deck with you so you can make this available to everyone.
That'd be helpful. I can email it out to everyone who registered for today's call, so you guys can get that in your email after this is over.
Okay, so that is the state personnel website. So you would go to that website and look around, and that's where you actually go on and look at the different job positions that there are in the state. And we're going to talk about some of those in a few minutes and show you a little bit about that. But and I'll flip over to the personnel website here in just a little bit. But on that site, you actually have to create an ID and a password, and then get yourself a profile, if you will. Once you get your profile, then that's where you start uploading your information, like your transcripts and your resume and so forth, that you want to put out there for the personnel department in the state to do. So that's basically, we'll get to that in a little bit, and I'll actually show you live what that looks like. The next is benefits. As I said earlier, you're gonna be seeing these nice salaries from different companies when you're coming out of college, and you're gonna be like, oh man, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, and that's not all there is to it. There are these benefits, these little things they call benefits, and you want to really pay close attention to what those benefit packages look like. It's not just about the salary, because you want to definitely have a very good insurance program under that employer. You want to have nice time, uh, uh, sick leave being able to be accrued, time off, different holidays, things like that that'll be part of that. In addition, I wanted to share with you, if you'll look at the right-hand side of your screen, and I'm not real familiar with this, but I stumbled upon it, and I thought it would be really, really important for you guys and gals to know. Is basically being able, there's a program that's called a student aid program, and you can click on this link that I've shared with you, and it's a forgiveness of your student loans. So if you are like me, you didn't have a full ride to college and you had to pay for it and you got student loans, sometime you're going to have to come back and pay those student loans back. With this program and the state of Alabama employment, these agencies take part in this program. After you make 120 payments on your student loans, you are eligible for basically a forgiveness of the remaining part of your loan. So I know 120 payments, you do the math, that's 10 years. Yeah, I understand it's 10 years, but it sure beats 30 years of paying back student loans if you can get that forgiveness on there. So you need to take a look at that and see if that's something that may be in your boat. Or you guys may be those smart kids and not like me that had to pay for it, and you got full ride scholarship, and good for you on that if you did. But for those that did have to have loans, that's a really neat program. You need to check that out. So with that, some more of the benefits that I was talking about. And this is the key thing on me. I love to have some time off. So if you look down at the bottom of the page there in front of you, paid time off, 12 holidays per year. The state of Alabama recognizes 12 holidays. Most employers do not recognize 12. You may get 7, but we recognize 12 paid holidays per year. You'll get a personal leave day, one personal leave day. Baldwin and Mobile counties call that their Mardi Gras day, but state employees get a one day there. 13 sick days per year that you accrue. 13 to 29 annual days that you accrue. Now, why it says 13 to 29, the more years of state employment that you have, say you're 1 to 5 years, you're going to get a minimum of the minimum amount, which is 4 hours per pay period. So it's basically a day a month is what you get. However, when you get into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years of state service that you've been employed, that 4 hours increases over time. So you can basically get up to 29 days per year after you've been with the state for an extended amount of time. And where else are you going to get that? When I talk of benefits, that is awesome. So basically, if you say 12 holidays a year, 13 sick days, 13 annual leave days, that's 38 days a year. I mean, that's over a month that you're accruing time off or either having holidays off that you're going to get. And I mean, that is huge, you guys. I mean, big time. Not to say we have probably one of the best insurance coverages that any company or anyone can offer with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama. It's awesome. And the retirement is also really, really good. So when I talk about the benefits, that's what I'm talking about. So we'll get into IT positions. So Scott, you're talking about all these benefits, talking about all this cool stuff. Let's get down to the meat of it. What are the types of positions that the state has? We have operations technicians, we have systems techs, systems specialists, programmers, project managers, and IT managers. I'm going to get into those in just a minute. So give me just a second. I'm going to stop sharing, excuse me, stop sharing my screen and flip over to another screen to show you the state website. So let me get back to do.
And students, if you guys have any specific questions, feel free to type those in the chat box, or I know you may want to wait until he's done to see if he answers them, but you're welcome to ask a question. You can make your screen go live and ask live, or you can type it in the chat box.
Okay, so here is the Alabama State Employment the Personnel State Department's website. It's kind of a little busy, but I'm going to take you to the places I feel like are important. So number one, if you can see me with my mouse down in the bottom left of the screen, career opportunities, become a state employee, benefits of state employment, and then employee stuff. So I'm going to just click once on the benefits. That's basically kind of what I showed you on my PowerPoint, but you can go into here and get more information there about the benefits of being a state employee. How do I become a state employee? Here it is. Click on Become a State Employee. This thing will walk you step by step how to fill out and go online, create your account. Once you create your account, you'll upload your information, and then we're going to get into the specific jobs that you want to look at. In my PowerPoint, I'll show you that in just a little bit. But you can see here, it's really easy. Again, you just come in here, how to become a state employee, click here, go in and read. You can read just as good as I can. So you'll take a look there, and that's how you go into it. Career opportunities, the bottom left. Career opportunities is where you want to go take a look at the different jobs. And I'm going to cover those jobs back in my PowerPoint too, but since we're here, job announcements is the place you want to go. Now, again, you see other stuff over here you can go in and take a look at when you have an opportunity and just look around, poke around, and find these areas and look at them. But I'm going to go into job announcements. Now, what I want to make sure you understand is just because the job is announced doesn't mean that there is an opening at a state agency. All that means is that classification is open for anyone to apply for that classification. Every one of those agencies that I talked about earlier, we have, like right now, I don't have any openings for a technician. However, the technician, I'll go over to the technician, let's see, I'll just do 10-5-25. I'll go over to the technician. That class option is called the number 10-5-25, but this is an IT systems technician. You can see a little brief description of it, and you can see the salary range for it, and then you can see over on the right hand side, apply online. That's where you go. You can apply online once you've had your profile set up. And that's basically the way you go about doing it. But what I wanted to say is just because it shows this IT technician PC position doesn't mean that all of the state agencies have any vacancies that they're trying to fill. That just means that state personnel has that classification open for anyone to apply or get on what's called the state register. And that's how you get selected for a job. Once you do this and you get on the state register, and then whenever someone like myself has a technician position open, I will call state personnel and say, hey, I got a technician position open. Could you please send me a list of candidates? At that point, they go to this pool of candidates, and that's what you're doing, is getting your name in the pool. They will send that pool of candidates to me. And from there, I start going through and looking at resumes and looking at information and find out which ones I want to interview for and have them come in for an interview. So just because you see it doesn't mean that you're applying for a specific position within an agency. You're applying to get your name in a pool of candidates so that whenever agencies need to hire, they call and get that pool. Okay.
So, Scott, a couple of questions came in.
Okay.
Well, first of all, would you recommend that students, should they do this today? I mean, if they're interested, should they go ahead and get on these registries to be in this pool as soon as possible?
If you are a senior, I would say yes,
Okay.
because this is a process, and it's not whenever you apply, you're not guaranteed you're gonna get on in that pool. Somebody's gonna review your application and all your information, and they're gonna say, yep, they meet the minimum qualifications, so let me go ahead and place them on the register. And then you'll get a thing in the mail that says, hey, congratulations, you've been placed on the register, la-di-da-di-da. So I would say if you're a senior, go ahead and start looking at this process. If you're a junior, probably not, because you possibly could start getting called for job interviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you may not be ready for that yet, but you definitely need to know that this is an option for you.
Well, Chastity had a good question. She was asking if there are any internships that show up on the personnel site here.
There are not any internships here right now. I will say that, if you want to look at something like that, maybe Lauren, you could get them in contact with me, and I could, maybe we could do some things. But there's not an official internship that the state has right now.
And I'll share. We had someone from Department of Revenue on with us on one of these calls. You can go back and watch it on our YouTube page. But she said they had internships in their agency, but they don't go through the state personnel website. They're just every agency with the state, kind of like that first slide that Scott showed you, individually runs their own internships. So it's really about getting in touch with those agencies that we can try to help you do that, and ask if they have an internship program that you could officially apply for. Or it might be like Scott's saying, he might be doing a project and needs somebody at the current time, or maybe they don't allow interns. It just depends from agency to agency, but we're happy to check on that for you and send your resume to someone.
There you go. Good deal. Any more?
Yep, one more. Jessica asked, how do they know what cities these jobs are in?
Okay, I'll get to that in just a second. Jessica, I think, let me click here, again, it gives you a short, brief description, but I'm going to click on the technician deal here. So when you do this gives you a lot more information about the job. Let's just say, hey, I want to apply for this IT systems technician position or classification. Look at the minimum requirements down here for that, guys. Graduation from high school, 1 year of experience in troubleshooting and installing. I mean, wow. And it starts out at 31.4, which doesn't sound like much, but you can move up rather quickly in that. And if you didn't have the 1 year experience, go on down here to the bottom where it says this note. Most of these jobs have this note in them. College credit and information systems can be substituted for the required experience on a year-for-year basis. So I'm betting every one of you on this call today could qualify for this IT technician position. Just about guarantee you could. Mm-hmm. So you'll go into that. Now, Jessica and others, how do you know where those jobs are at? When you go out and fill out your application, there's an application online that you'll have to fill out. Towards the end of that application, it's going to ask you your availability. When are you available for employment? And what areas would you like to look at? Mobile County, Elmore County, Montgomery County, or you can pick regions around the state, or you can pick specific counties that you're only interested in working in. Now, when you do that, you definitely are limiting yourself instead of picking the entire state that you would be willing to work in. But that's where that's at. It's on the application that you fill out. And I believe, let me go up here to the top. I was trying to remember where that application is. There's the application process, and there's the state application. So let me click on, I haven't done this, so hopefully I won't screw something up. There's the state application. Let me see if I can blow this up for you guys. So this is exactly what you're going to be filling out. Just a normal job application. Wants to know about your education. Then you got to sign it. You got to put your who your references are in here. Anybody can give you a good reference. And then you go through and ask some other information. I'm going to get down. Here's where you put all your past employment history if you have any. Going down, and then here's where that's at, Jessica. On the end of this, you'll see down at the bottom availability. And then that is where you can go in and select the different areas that you would be open to work in. Can you see that okay, Lauren? Okay, all right. So that's where you would come down here at the bottom, list the numbers of up to 7 counties or regions that you're willing to work in. So if you were willing to work in all of 89, which is Selma, the Clanton area, and those 4, you would put an 89 in that spot. If you only wanted to work in, in Chilton County, you would put an 11 in that spot down here. Okay. So that's your state application. So anyway, let me stop sharing that. Is any questions coming in on that, Lauren?
Okay. There's not any others in the chat box.
All right, I'm going to stop that. Let me go back to share my screen.
And Scott, it does look like there's a few more steps. I mean, not necessarily more, but there's a couple of steps in the process for state application. So maybe give themselves enough time. Start.
Yeah. Yep, you need to give yourself time. Most of these jobs that I'm showing on the screen right now, most of those jobs, except the IT manager at the bottom, most of those stay open so that you can get put in that pool 24/7. I mean, 365. They mostly stay open because we're trying to get a good candidate pool. Okay. So those are those. Now
Jessica said she had one other question.
Okay, go ahead, Jessica. Or
do you want to ask it, Jessica? Oh, she said, how do you apply for more than one pool? Or does someone match up your qualifications for various positions?
No, you have to apply for each position separately. Okay. Sorry. Each one of them. So like I was showing you that technician job, you apply specifically for it, and then you have to go back in and apply specifically for a programmer position. And you have to do each one of them separately.
Okay, so fill out an application for each position that they're interested in. Okay. Yeah. And then Chastity also asked, do you have a feel for how often jobs come open? I mean, I guess specifically in IT, probably.
They are open all the time. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I realized that I was having a hard time getting, I call you guys baby programmers, entry-level programmers. We lost, I've got 5 programmers. I lost 3. They got promoted to other state agencies. I couldn't get them promoted internally here, so they had to take a promotion to another state agency. I lost 3 entry-level programmers, and I would go to the register and call and get it registered, and I would look at the candidates on it, and it just wasn't there. The quality that I was looking for was not there. So I'm like, what can I do to get some good candidates in this pool so we have good people to choose from? And I said, hey, I'm going back to my home roots at Troy, and we're going to get a pipeline of students coming out of Troy and start getting some good candidates on here that we can help and get them into jobs right out of college if we can. So to answer your question, it happens daily. Um, so I'm not going to say you're going to get on the programmer and programmer register and get a call tomorrow. It may be 2 months, but you're going to get a call for an interview. So it happens a lot, a
Right.
lot of turnover.
One other question Mara asked, when we had two come in actually, when it comes to the programmer position, are there specific languages that they need to know?
Well, not necessarily, because in the programmer field, we still have mainframes here in the state. So sometimes they're looking for a programmer with an emphasis on mainframes. Sometimes they're looking for a programmer with an emphasis in web development. Sometimes they're looking for a programmer with, COBOL. Oh my gosh, I'm really dating back now, but sometimes there are. So not necessarily any specific. Where we're at now, we're doing a lot of stuff with Microsoft Power BI for business analytics, business intelligence. So I'm looking for some folks that have the capacity to learn Power BI so that we can report information out of our ERP and point of sale system. Thinking about what I do for a living, we sell spirits. We need to be looking at what spirits are selling the best, which ones are the most profitable for the state, which ones, that are giving us better discounts. And that data has got to be presented to the chief operating officer and the administrator here so that they can make good decisions on what spirits they allow into Alabama, and so forth. So, not really a specific language. I mean, if you're a programmer, you're a programmer, and you have the um, training and the schooling that you've learned those basic traits of what programming is, and that's what it is. So anyway.
Sudeep asked, what's about the average timeline from getting on the register to maybe getting a job and actually getting hired and starting?
That's going to depend in the area that you're looking. If you're looking at an IT systems technician, the number 2 one on the list here, or an entry-level programmer, those are going to come available more often. So those are constantly, we're constantly trying to fill those type of positions around the state. When it gets into an IT project manager, you're probably looking at a person that's more seasoned, somebody that's already been in the work field or has been working with the state for 7, 8, 9 years. When you talk about an IT manager, those don't come open often. Those are your director level positions. So
Would you suggest that they go ahead and try to do the get their foot in the door approach with some of those more entry level? And I just kind of want to echo a conversation you and I had before, Scott, that if you look at the income levels compared to maybe some private industry, it could be a little lower. But do you want to talk a little bit overtime? And then you've already hit on the benefits package. So you've got to look at the whole kit and caboodle, as we say.
you got it. I'm going to head there right now. So if I can get my computer to work, bear with me. So this gives you a little bit of an idea when we talk about those positions. The one that I pulled up on the website earlier was the second one there, the IT systems technician 525. There's a salary range, so you can see what that looks like, 31,000 to 47,000. If you're a student and you've been working part-time doing some programming or doing some technician work for a help desk work for say you got a job working at Wiley Sanders and you're working part-time as a help desk technician with them, working on PCs and stuff. You may start out at a higher level than 31.4, you know, depending on what you're making there at Wiley Sanders or wherever. But that's just the scale. It is the norm that you would start out at the bottom of the scale. Um, but I can tell you that you can move up quickly in state government to some of these higher paying jobs. But to get your foot in the door and get some experience, that's what you guys and gals have got to think about. It's, I don't want you to get discouraged and think, oh, I've just spent 4 years and I've got my computer science degree. I can't even hardly find a job. Oh, or the job that I'm thinking that I should get $60,000 a year. Reality, that's going to be a small percentage of folks that do that. Reality is that you're going to start out, you know, at a lower salary, but you're going to have great benefits. You're going to have a decent salary, and you have the potential to move up quickly. Okay.
Especially right now during this time of COVID, that
Yeah.
it's a lot of employers are not hiring. So take advantage of this. And we did have another question kind of related to COVID. Mara said, when it comes to interviews, since COVID's going on, are you guys doing virtual or in-person interviews?
Each state agency is doing it different. They're doing it their own way. I myself, I'm old school, so I take and put on my little mask and I ask you to come to the office. If I'm real interested in you, I want you to come to the office. Now I may do the first round, you know, via Skype or Zoom or some video conference. But if I pull you in for a second interview, it's probably going to be in person. And other state agencies, they all are doing it different. Now I will say that right now the governor just extended the state safer at home order today through the month of September. And for me, my programmers, my technicians, we're doing a rotation. So I've got one programmer on staff on site every day. The rest of them, I'm allowing them to work from home. Same thing with my technicians. And you guys, this is probably going to start being a norm for some state agencies. Even you know, if we ever get to the point this thing is over with, there's going to be a lot of you know, because a programmer can work from home. They don't have to be in the office. I give you a laptop, you got an internet connection, I can Zoom session, I can WebEx with you, I can talk to you like we're doing right now. You know, it works. It works. So that's a benefit that we have. We have the opportunity to do that. And all state agencies, most state agencies have that opportunity. I should say not all, most. But you can see in technicians, when you're looking at the technicians on your screen, those are the 3 levels of technicians, folks that are going to go out and work on a PC, work on a printer, install printers, install routers, install equipment, you know, help end users out. You know, it starts out at a low end of 27,000, but you can see that senior level tops out at 62.5. It's not a dang bad salary, guys.
Right.
Especially in Alabama. So that's that one. I'm going to switch on because I know I'm eating up the time, but I want you to see all this. Those are technician jobs. These jobs are IT system specialist jobs. And that number that you see beside it is the class number. And you can search when you go into the state personnel website. That's the number you want to use to search to find out more about these jobs. These jobs, the systems specialist jobs, and I messed up down there at the bottom when that is wrong. It's an IT systems specialist senior, not a technician senior. I'll correct that before I say it. That 10.529. I mean, you're talking now about network folks. You're talking about database administrators. You're talking about folks like that fall into these categories. These are my network administrators, our security specialists. Those type folks fall into these jobs. And you see here 45.5 to 110.
We had a question about business analyst. Would that fall in these categories here?
It really does not, but
Okay.
I'm glad that question was asked.
Okay.
This is awesome. All this stuff I'm showing you is changing. All of we as IT directors around the state and all these state agencies have gotten together and said, this stuff is outdated, guys. It's state personnel. These job classifications are outdated. These salaries are outdated. So we are working with state personnel now, and by the end of December, we're supposed to start releasing a few of the new ones. And business analyst is going to be a new classification that we put out. Now, it may not be December, it may be on into next year before you see a IT business analyst position advertised. But we are redoing all of these classifications.
Great.
And we're talking about more about security type positions. Instead of it falling into an IT system specialist and you being a security specialist, there's going to be a security specialist job classification.
Mhm.
So all that's in the process right now. But these jobs, I mean, you can see, you know, if you become an IT system spec senior at 10/5/29, boy, now you're starting to bring in some money, baby. So those are those. The next ones in line are your programmers. We got some folks, and that's the beauty of IT. When you tell I work in IT, you say I work in IT, you know, there's so many different facets of IT. You got your programmers, your technicians, your network guys, your security folks, your business analysts, all of these things. Well, here's your programmer world. The 10/5/15s, the 5/16s, and the 5/17s. It ain't a bad living, guys. And it's a state job. They're stable jobs. You have protection whenever you come into these jobs, once you get in and get your foot in the door. So you can see here, I just wanted you to see the salaries and the numbers of these jobs. So when you programmers that are online today are out looking on the state website, all you got to do is search for that number, that 10/5/16 or 10/5/15. Now, most of you are going to only qualify for the 10/5/15, but some of you might make it to the 5/16 level. You just got to read the requirements on the job and go from there. So then once you leave the programmer stuff, we also have an IT project manager position. These are going to be more senior level folks. You're going to have some experience to qualify for this. This one is actually one of the ones that's changing. We're going to have more of an entry level, a mid level, and a senior level. Is what I believe is going to come out of that. But you can see there, I think we could all live with a salary in those ranges right there. And then the last one is your IT manager positions. These positions are your director positions. So these are the ones you're going to be seeing once you've been in state government for 12 to 17 years. The qualifications for these are pretty stringent in order to make it to this level, because again, these are the director levels, but I wanted you to see those. So 586, 587, and again, I apologize. I got to get that class right. It's not a 10/586 at the bottom. That's a manager 3. But you can see where those go. So that is about state government. A little bit about some of the IT jobs and classifications that the state offers. We talked a little bit about how to get around on the state website. And again, I'm going to get you these slides, Lauren, so you can get these out. But I would also like to let everyone know I would be willing to talk with you one-on-one if you have any questions about, you know, hey, I'm having trouble getting online and getting my stuff submitted. I didn't really understand this. Can you know, one-on-one with me? I will be glad to help you, because, you know, when I graduated at Troy in '93, I had a career path. I was going in the Air Force, so I knew what I was going to do. But I also felt kind of sad for some of my friends that, all they knew is that they needed to go get a job in industry, and they knew they needed to go get with a company somewhere. Some of them had some career paths that they already were going on, but some of them, a lot of my friends didn't. They were like, okay, I got a degree, now what do I do? So I'd like to say that you can take that degree and you don't have to go to industry. You can go to state government and get positions, and they're really good positions, and we're trying to make them better and trying to make them more attractive to you guys. I'm excited, and I'll be glad to help any one of you get your foot in the door to see what this state government employment is all about.
So there's still a couple of questions that are in the chat box, Scott, that we'll cover, but I do want to say how appreciative we are that you're the type of employer and alumni that will come back and really educate us on working with the state and being willing to share your time and your resources. So we really, really appreciate that.
You're very, very welcome.
Yeah. Let's see. We had Emily ask about internal paths for career growth. You hit on that a little bit, that there's those entry level positions, and then over time you can kind of work your way up. But do state agencies offer any kind of performance-based raises or goal-oriented bonuses, or is promotion really more about like going to the next position?
Promotion is about going to the next position. There are, that's part of the talks that we're doing as IT directors with state personnel, because we're hamstrung. I mean, what we can offer to you is the ability, maybe to work from home some. We can offer things like that are perks, but the performance base, we're hamstrung there. But you do get normally a 2-step raise in the year, and I actually can bring that up. Give me
It's
just
kind of that cost of living, that standard raise that everybody gets each year, and honestly, that can rack up over time. I mean, if you make your career there. And do y'all, I know you can't promise this, but do you tend to try to elevate internally first so that next step goes to somebody that's already got their foot in the door?
Yes, we do. We do. We try to take care of our own in promotions, um, and 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 do that. But in order to do that, I have to have a position that I can fill. So I've got to have a vacant. If you're a technician and you're trying to get to a technician senior, you may be qualified and on the technician senior register, but I don't have a position for you. But I tell you what Scott Cruz does is I start reaching out. I don't want to lose you, but I don't want the state government to lose you either. So I will reach out to my fellow IT directors around the state and say, hey, I've got Chastity here, and she kicks tail. I mean, we can't lose her. Do you have any senior positions you're trying to fill? Oh yeah, I got a senior position. All right, here comes a resume.
That's
And that's the way we try to take care of them. I'm also going to bring up on the screen real quick for you guys to see. This is just a sample.
Okay.
One of the pay scales of what we were talking about. Hopefully you guys, can you see that okay, Lauren?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you came in, this classification here is a 525, a systems technician. You're on the help desk or a technician working. Normally you would come in at this 31,468. You serve a 6-month probation. After 6 months, you're eligible to go up to 2 steps to 33,081. After you come off of that probation, you'll be at that. Then every year after that, you normally look at a 2-step increase each year. As long as you're doing a good job and you're taking care of business and learning and progressing, you do that. However, while you're doing these steps and you're increasing over those years, you're also qualifying yourself for that IT systems senior position. And then at that point, you come over to that senior position, and that's that 526. So you're continually able to move up. Um, and you know, it may not be leaps and bounds. It may not be a $10,000 a year pay raise like you hear some of your buddies out in industry doing. But I can tell you that those buddies out in industry, if they're not kicking tail and taking names out there, guys and gals, they're looking for a job. When you come into state government, you can come into state government and kick tail and get promoted and move forward. And you're not constantly looking over your shoulder. Am I going to get fired tomorrow? You know, is the company profit down, and they're going to have to cut folks? You know, you know you leave. You know, you remove yourself from some of that stuff. There's a lot more stability in these jobs, and that's, you know, that's that's my preaching for the day.
Very true. One last question. Brett asked, are IT certifications taken into consideration during the hiring process?
The IT certifications at this point today are not. However, the IT certifications in the near future, as I told you, we're changing these positions and how you qualify for these jobs. That is a big player in what we're asking state personnel to allow us to do. So I can tell you today it's not, but I can tell you that if we get our way as IT directors around the state, that will be a consideration for you getting on the register.
There's not any other questions in the chat box. If anybody has any, oh, one just came in. Does this process apply only to Alabama, or is it similar to other states?
I think other states are similar. I honestly, I can't speak to it. I've got some friends down in Florida that are that work for the state. Several of my Troy friends that graduated work for the state of Florida in different agencies. I got one on the insurance board, one in human resources, one with Department of Transportation, and I think theirs is similar to what ours is. But yeah, I think so.
Okay. Are there still written tests affiliated with the state?
Um, some positions do, but I don't believe any of the IT positions do. If you come into like a clerical position, you know, secretarial type position, yeah, I know you have to go take a test for that because you got to do a grammar test and some other things. But I don't believe any of ours do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Scott, how should they follow up with you? Or, of course, we'll send out the slides and this video will be available, but from here.
I'm going to share for you guys. Let me do this. I didn't do this before, but let me create a new slide. No, actually, I'll put it on my first slide.
Okay.
I'll put my email address on my first slide.
Okay.
And if you will, you know, if you guys want to reach out to me by email, then we can do a phone call or a Zoom session or something if we need to. I'll put my email address there and you can contact me there, but make sure you identify yourself as a Troy student.
Mm-hmm.
So that I get a lot of emails and I don't want to miss it by chance, but maybe in the subject, just put, you know, Troy student or something that can catch my eye, and I'll make sure I take care of you guys. But, you know, one thing I want to kind of part with is y'all are coming into a crazy world. It was a lot different back in my day. But one thing is still for sure is that, you know, I didn't get where I'm at without help. And I realize that, and I know that today. And that's why I'm trying to reach out to say, I want to help my fellow Troy grads because I got help from Troy University to get my career going. And I continue to get help from Troy University moving forward with stuff, whether, you know, it's old fraternity brothers of mine, my Delta Chi's, go Delta Chi, or whether it's, you know, just people like Lauren that I meet and we work with. But you guys, it's all about networking, if you will, not computer networking, social networking. You know, networking with folks and doing a good job and being proud of what you do, and it'll go a long way, and we help each other. That's what it's all about.
Well, thank you so much, Scott, for your time. Emily remarked that she worked for IT, and she appreciates the answer of the internal career growth and raises. This has been very beneficial, she said. So
It is, and we want to, you know, there's, with the IT directors around the state, there's, oh my God, there's 40 or 50 of us around the state. There's probably about 25 of us that are close friends.
neat.
And we realize where we're at, that we've got to reach out and get quality, you know, students from college, and we want to get Alabama students in here. You know, we want to keep you at home the best we can, and even if you're not from Alabama, we want to keep you.
Yeah. Well, lots of comments coming in that they really enjoyed it. It was great. So everybody on the call, actually, if you registered in Handshake for this event, that means I have your email address. That means I'm going to send the slides, and you'll have Scott's email, and this video will be posted on YouTube. But if you didn't register and you just hopped onto this, please send me an email at troycareer@troy.edu. So Troy, TROYCAREER @troy.edu. And just let me know you like the slides and the recording from today. And I'll type that in the chat box too. So,
All right.
okay. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Scott.
I'll email you the slides in a little bit.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks, everybody.
You guys, go Trojans.
Yep, go Trojans. Bye-bye.